I think it's interesting to see how that translates into recently the president spoke about how he wants to bring production back into the US and how that's now it looks to be a trend just across the world and avoiding outsourcing the creation of products. And if the prices of fuel go up, if China isn't able to produce for this at the same pricing with the same at the same competitive angle that it's been doing, would that end up pushing these other economies to become more self-sufficient faster? And that's part of what I'm trying to understand. The other piece of it is, will we end up with a supply shortage because companies or let's say the major manufacturers are going to refuse to actually produce since it's going to cost them too much, it's not going to be worth it for them. Like, can we see the kind of trends for supply shortages and price hikes already?
So you're talking shortages for the global economy or for the regional actors?
I would say global because, for example, if we look at China just as a global player for its production, it's manufacturing so much of the parts of things that we need, it can have a massive impact if China's not able to produce at the same pricing.
Absolutely. But you're getting into an area which isn't my area of expertise. So I'll leave it
Fascinating.
to others who are wiser than I am.
Fascinating. So then we could tie right back into something else. I just think that it's interesting to see how we're so early on in the war at just the different interests that can begin to show up as just we begin to speculate. Um, let's move into cyber power and cyber threats. Let's see here. There's a number of Israeli cyber startups that actually have been extremely successful in both protecting Israeli data interests, but also have in some ways been used to breach data privacy in other camps. Could you speak about Israel and the current cybersecurity threats that face it because of the war situation?
Well, you're raising two different issues. One was the Israel's involvement or Israeli companies' involvement in offensive cyber uses abroad and in some cases misuses. And the other issue is now cyber during the war. I can say that the Iranians have been using cyber. They've tried to attack many Israeli sites. They haven't been very successful. They're using the internet as a means of recruiting agents in Israel. And here we've discovered and arrested a couple of tens of people already in recent months and during the war. It's horrible to think that Israelis were willing to do this. They all knew who they were getting paid by, and these were people who were all in, let's say, difficult financial straits, and so they were willing to sell out, but very, very disturbing. And they're using cyber information warfare as a means of getting their message out in the world and trying to undermine the Israeli position, weaken the American position. In terms of the first issue, we're talking mostly about the NSO company. They're the ones who were accused of most of the violations. Now, I understand the feeling of, they were getting into private citizens' phones. There's a violation of privacy here. And there were a couple of cases where it went beyond violations of privacy. It was used by a couple of unsavory regimes to deal with their opponents, and one or two people may even have died as a result. So it's not nice. There's no doubt about that. But the countries that were criticizing Israel, the US and all of Europe, and I'm not talking about the rest of the world, sell billions and billions of dollars worth of weapons to the Arab countries and to other dictatorial regimes. And these weapons kill people. I mean, they're designed to kill people. It's not that, yes, there were one or two unfortunate cases where somebody paid with their life.